Welcome to River Talk, the current events and civic issues discussion podcast at Clinton Community College. My name is Jaimie, and these are my fellow panelists, Audrey,
Aaron,
and John.
Today our topic is our experience with gender roles and their stereotypes. And now we will hear from our fellow podcast, since I've talked a lot already.
Well, the first issue is we're going to tackle the gender roles. For instance, for the longest time, especially in our Western civilization, women were mostly confined to household duties, while men went out hunting and going off to war.
Yeah, back in the 50s or 40s and 50s, usually that was the kind of the gender role, was that the woman cooked and cleaned house and watched the kids while the men went to work or did whatever and then came home and then they had family time. But now today it's kind of, I would say, maybe equaled out, as in like both men and the women are of course going to work, and women have a better chance of, or have, I would say, maybe equal opportunity as another job, but pay on the other thing, we'll get to that later in the podcast. Anything else on that?
Well, actually, since we're bringing up the 40s, 50s, that area, before World War II, around that area, there actually used to be commercials where the coffee commercials, they were women making a good or bad pot of coffee, and that was how they were judging how good their wife was. And now we laugh at them, but I'm pretty sure they're actual serious commercials at that point. Yep.
Those were relics of the past. You can see how society had changed just by that commercial. I wonder if that makes you think, and what kind of things we do that the next generation is going to laugh at, but we take seriously.
Well, personally, I've like women, like what I think about that is, like, women play, like, and I've been in sports for a long time. Women are meant for basically like softball, or like, say, like maybe just compete with other women, and men are competing with other men. Well, there are times that when I was playing baseball back when I was about in 5th grade, 4th grade, that we had a couple of girls on our team, and say our local, what was it called, the CJB, Clinton Junior Baseball, that we had women, or not women, but girls, same age as I am, playing with us, and I kind of accidentally, like, I was a pitcher back then, and I accidentally hit them on accident, and it's nice to see that other girls are playing with, like, the guys back, and like playing with the guys in the sports.
I find it funny when people do their own little studies and stuff. They will stage a scene where a guy will hit a girl, and everyone in the restaurant or whatever will jump up to defend the girl. But actually, if it was the other way around, the girl hits the guy, everybody starts laughing. And I don't know, stereotypes kind of come from true things, but those are things of the past, and now we're coming into more of an equal society. My personal experience, I'll be at work and I want to go pick something up for a customer, or since I'm in retail, and we'll switch it to someone being like, oh no, you don't lift that, we'll get one of the boys to do it. And I'm just like, I'm pretty sure I can lift more than that guy right there. Like, I lift every night, and even that's a surprise to people. For a woman to be so athletic, it's almost like a weird concept for most people, because women are supposed to be weak and thin and have that thigh gap, and that's so unhealthy.
You mentioned the scenario where the woman hits the guy, and that's a problem with even like male gender stereotypes, where male domestic abuse is a problem. It's a fairly rampant problem, but because men don't want to be viewed as weak or emasculated, it's way underreported.
Yeah, domestic violence is a problem for any gender. Or, yeah.
It's been really a problem. Like, I would say, like, I'm starting maybe last year, maybe. I would say, like, with Ray Rice's case right now with the with domestic violence, like, he, and also me, even Adrian Peterson with the child abuse as well. But personally, like, if you're really gonna hit a girl, like men are muscular types are very, like, we're as muscular than women sometimes, and I don't want to bring that up.
It's true. Men have more testosterone. It's a physical effect.
Like, if men have the audacity of hitting a girl, and to be honest, that is one of the most dumb things I would for a guy to do is hit a girl, because
Just don't hit anyone.
yeah.
It's the real thing. Stop hitting people.
Violence is not the answer, in my opinion. And I just feel like just talking it out and working it out with your spouse or a friend is so much better than bringing up violence and even bringing in the law enforcement on that part.
No matter what gender you are, or, you know, sex, or whatever you want to subscribe to, totally just lost my train of thought.
Don't hit people.
Don't hit people.
Don't hit people.
Yeah.
Don't hit people. Yeah, communication and being able to be vulnerable with your emotions and your words and your feelings is super important. Like, whether you want to diminish a woman as being emotional or treat a man as being too feminine for, you know, crying or showing vulnerability, that's just not cool. People have emotions and they have needs, and everyone needs to recognize that those are valid and important.
But yeah, on the other hand, like, violence, if you're actually angry, is definitely not okay. But even just like wrestling with a friend or something, like, everybody's all like, "You're gonna wrestle a girl? Oh, you got beat by a girl? No way!" It's just like, yes, there is. Girls are definitely weaker than men for their full potential, but also that doesn't necessarily mean that the person that they're competing against is going to be of the same physical features and not be as strong. The girl can be stronger than the guy.
There's always exception to these rules, not necessarily rules, but expectations. Things. And there are definitely the differences between in men and women, and especially boys and girls. Like no matter how gender neutral you are, there's always going to be a difference. And for instance, if anyone worked with little kids or been around little kids, you would probably know this, because as the girls, generally they want to play a house or princess, while boys want to go to war or be athletes. And that starts like in preschool, like when they're 3. Long before, or they would really be shaped by society's expectations.
Anyway,
People are actually shaped the moment they're born. I mean, if you go to a baby shower, if it's a boy, everything's blue. If it's a girl, everything's pink. I mean, you rarely find a yellow unless you don't know what the child's gonna be. That's just, people are raised to be that way. I mean, one of my best friends is a girl, and she was raised practically as a boy, like she wore boys' clothes and all this stuff, and then she turned into the most girly girl ever. Shows you how society can weigh on a person. But like, my dad's a coach, so I was raised to be athletic and sportsy, and it's you're prone to be a certain thing, and you eventually will adapt to your own personality, but social issues and that sort of thing, how you're raised, really has a huge effect on the type of person you're actually going to be.
And I would say even genetics would be a big thing that how people are raised, because if like in genetics wise, like if say that there's a girl or whatever who's very athletic and like very like focused on like, hey, I want to be a soccer player or something like that, she'll work hard and whatever and go up and to even play for the United States of America and the FIFA World Cup or whatever. I don't know much about soccer, but anyway, like, and going back to like family wise, it just depends how like the family, if you're willing to just work at it and even sometimes compete with the guys or whatever. Like in football, we had a couple of girls play on our football team when I was in 8th grade, and they did pretty well competing with the guys. They're good at running. It just depends how well you are athletically, really.
Yeah, that's pretty true. And that is true. You can choose of what you can be, no matter what gender you are.
Can I pose a question? I would like you guys to discuss what your views are on the expanding roles of women in the military. One, on how they're not allowed to be in certain groups because of the danger. And two, on the hero complex of men, that they have to be protective of the women. So if you could all discuss that, I'd appreciate that.
My mom was in the military in the 80s, and she was one of 3 women in her, like, I don't remember what the name of it is, but like the big group of people, whatever. And yeah, it was, the guys definitely felt like they had to protect her, and they still call her little sister. But they also treated her as an equal at the same time. Like, they didn't change their language or behavior around her. They were still very crass and army-like. And then my dad was in the army right after, and like my mom gave him his blood wings and everything. So I was raised in a very like, despite my parents being very conservative, that women are equals and women are, you know, they can fight with the best of them.
Well, as for me, I don't really know too much about the whole outer spectrum of military and like what you said, but for my personal experience, like I would like to go into the National Guard. I can't because of health reasons, but anybody that I've ever talked to, majority of them are guys, and they're just like, no, do it. Like, you would be great at it. And I've never had anybody be like, no, you can't do it because you're a girl. It's actually the exact opposite.
Well, my stepfather was actually in the U.S. military. He was part of the Navy back in the late '80s in the Persian Gulf War, and when they went to like Korea or I'd say Hong Kong or something like that, the guys would always go to the bars or whatever and hang out, and they would pick up the ladies at the bars or whatever, and kind of, you know what that ends up to. But he would always, like, they had a couple of girls, and he treated them as equal. They were basically focused on one thing, and that was getting their job done and making sure that they were doing everything right, so they don't get yelled at and for punishment, and I'd say cleaning others' boots or whatever. That's what he did for punishment. And really, like, if the girls, in my opinion, if the girls are good enough and they want to be in the military, let them do it. If they want to fight for their country, let them do it, because it's very, like, if they love the United States of America and they want to be with the guys and hang with the guys, they should do it, because equal opportunity in the United States it's the kind of the slogan of the United States, land of the free and home of the brave. They should just, if they want to fight, let them fight.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think that they should be able to fight. And also, since we are fighting for America, we actually have the freedom to talk about this, and we have the freedom to really discuss gender issues and actually go against the prevailing gender roles. Because in many societies, like Iran or even in indigenous societies, women don't really have much freedom. We are lucky to have that women in this society are able to do what men can do. That had not been the case for most of human history. Okay. And we live in a very good time when we can actually discuss these things. This is what makes America great.
And back in high school, I remember some of my friends or whatever, we joke all the time about women's rights and that, and how women are kind of treated badly, and that was kind of my fault. And now I really understand what, like, really, like, basically my mom couldn't vote back then if she was old enough. But now I'm really glad that women now have a voice. And look at what's her name? I can't remember her name. But anyway, Hillary Clinton, and she's now she's working really with the. I don't like the woman, but she is working in the government, and I think equal opportunity for women have its areas. And
Can I pose another question?
Yeah.
So male nurses make up less than half of the percentage of nurses in the U.S., yet they still make more money than female nurses. How do you feel about that unequal pay?
Not good. I think if you're doing the same work, obviously the pay should be the same. When I've read about this, I've read arguments that men are, and this is probably another social construct type thing, where they're taught to speak out more and ask for raises and push a little harder for higher pay than a woman would feel comfortable doing. And so that might be part of the reason. But also, I think it's interesting that we have to call them male nurses. Like, you never just see a nurse like, hey, that's a nurse. It's like, that's a male nurse. So.
Yeah. Also, that is kind of a problem. Though the pay stuff can also be explained as women do, in general, take more time off than men do, because of pregnancy and family.
2 minutes.
But anyways, kind of my thought on that is that you've gone to college and you got taught the same information. Why not have the equal amount of pay that you received? And to be honest, if you got through college and you're going to become a nurse, and a guy went through college and he's going to be a nurse, why not same pay? That's my opinion.
Well, for me, I don't really know much about the differences in wages. I've never quite experienced that myself. But one thing I did want to bring up was John said earlier about Iran and all those other Middle Eastern countries where women are really looked down upon. That even goes into another issue of religion and how, like, you can't even, like, for some reason the woman would get stoned if she was to entice the man. Which makes no sense because they just look very wrongly. Me as a religious person
1 minute.
myself, in the Bible, if we want to get into that, it says that women are supposed to submit to their husbands and that sort of thing. Where people take that into a twist is the part where they just cancel out the part where it says how the male is supposed to actually, like, clothe the woman, treat him as his bride, and protect her, but also treat her as an equal. It's not pushing her in front, it's not pushing her behind, it's equal in this one spot.
Well, we'd certainly like to thank you for all being on the panel today, and I'd just like to say thank you. You all seem to have members of your family in the military, So I appreciate you for all of that. That will conclude this week's edition of River Talk, and we hope to see you next week. Thank you for tuning in.